Thank you for coming to watch Dr. Smith's video today. We encourage you to hit the subscribe button and the alert button. That way you can get notifications when he uploads a new video. Thank you for coming today.
So we hope you take the time to hear and think about it. And if you have a book, read in the book about the concept and the topics that we talk about. They have a lasting effect. The intent is not necessarily to treat pain, but to make permanent, long-term correction with your whole family and your friends.
Thank you. Make sure you subscribe and hit the alert button. Have a good day.
Have a good day. When we think about shedding weight, the title is important because word choice has an effect on your body. If we were to put losing weight, that sets you up for negative end results. Statistics show that people who do a diet, any diet, with the intent to lose weight, the majority of them, when the diet's all over, whether it be short-term, 18 months or maybe a year or longer, a year later, they all weigh more than they did pre-diet by about 5 pounds. And why is that? They've concluded that the reason is probably because of the word lose. If you lose your keys, you lose your purse, you're all focused on finding and getting them back. So the subconscious wants to get back what you lost. So instead of using that word, we'd like to use the word shedding. Releasing, that's another good word. I had a lady yesterday who said, I want to drop the weight. He said, well, if you drop it, it'll probably go from here, up here, down to here. And she said, I don't want to do that. And so be careful with your word choice. When we talk about weight, we talk about the concept of the question, what is healthy weight? Well, in general, weight, I like to think of it with 3 different words. There's the healthy weight is the weight you should be when all of your systems are functioning at least at the level of a B. Now, when they say all of your systems, that includes your brain, your lungs, your kidneys, your liver, your stomach, and the intestinal tract. It also includes your hormones, starting at the top in your head. So you make the proper amount of melatonin, you make the proper amount of thyroxine, you make the proper amount of adrenaline. All the glands are functioning also. Also the nervous system. I have a chart here. Some of you had the chart, the spinal nerve charts. Usually when a person has a weight problem, they also have internally in this region of the back, misalignment. When you have a misalignment in the mid part of your back, it affects the quality and the quantity of nerve flow that goes to the organs that process foods. So you can, I know this because I have families who eat the same food, husband, wife, kids, and they all have different digestive strength or weakness qualities. Because of posture, when they slump, they get strained, they get torqued, they get misaligned, and soon after that, the quality of nerve flow to the organs goes down. When the quality of the nerve flow goes down, the function goes down. Yesterday in class, I had a fellow ask me, is it possible to have nerve interference that affects the relationship between the stomach and the brain? And the answer is yes, twice. Once, we have sensory nerves. The sensory nerves gather data and send a message to the brain. If those nerves are pinched, stretched, or twisted, or a combination of those three things, it affects negatively the message. They used to make a telephone commercial. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? And that's the same idea. You then also have motor nerves. The motor nerves carry the messages from the brain down and out to the organs. That can have the same problem. It can be pinched, stretched, or twisted. Well, what if you have both? What if you have misalignment in your spinal column that affects the nerves both ways? Then what you eat maybe not matter quite so much because of nerve interference. So I always like to think about making certain that is as clear as it can be. Now, at your ages, it's common to have multiple low-grade trauma, which creates multiple low-grade misalignment. And the question is, how do you fix it? Do you go get popped? Do you go get rolled? Do you get rubbed? My personal belief is if you are faithful with doing the circle slide, when you breathe properly, you slide your legs properly, you put your feet in the proper positions, that motion realigns the spine as good as it can get on that day. So it's not going from, they say, we wanted a point A or B. It may be off, clear over to F and G. It could be way out of alignment. And doing that may take months to realign it slowly to get it back into a better function. But the message that I have for you is anytime you do the circle slide properly, you enhance the quality of your organs to function better, all of them. So that's top of the list. Now, what you think, so we've talked about what you think affects your weight, your alignment. Now back to the three weights. If you have optimal health, that's the weight you should be by your genetics and by your age. And your age will change your weight automatically if you stay healthy. So people who are over 35 and 45, it's normal for them to be grown up, adult, have an adult body, okay? And one of the problems I see often is people who are 60 and 50, 60, 70, in the mind, they want to be 30. They want to have the same body weight and the same swimming suits that they wore back then. And the truth is, that's not healthy. That's not normal. So we have the weight you are, the way you want to be, and the way you should be. Those are the three weights. I should be, I want to be, I am. Now, if all three of those weights are the same, you're where you ought to be. And that does change. I give you a personal story. 7 years ago, I was overworking, undersleeping. I weighed maybe 4 or 5 pounds more than optimal. I was just over 200. I had a couple of strokes, a couple of heart attacks, boom. The doctors that I had at the time, one neurologist, 3 cardiologists, all said, you're gonna die. Well, I didn't. I think I didn't because I think God wanted me to be around to take care of my wife for some other reason. I don't know. But I didn't die. But I lost a lot of weight, a lot. So I went all the way down to 160. One of the Oriental cardiologists said, 160 is your dry weight. That's what you should be. Well, at 160, I looked like a prisoner of war. I looked really bad and had no energy. I felt bad. And I said, I don't want to be 160. That's way too low. Now, I know if I would have been 160 when I had a heart attack and stroke, I would have died. I had no reserve. But I had reserve, and that helped me. So, is it better for you to be slightly above ideal or slightly below ideal? Here's the answer.
Probably slightly above.
Definitely slightly above. So if you call up your insurance agent and say, I'd like to buy some more life insurance, and he comes to your home or sends you to a doctor, one of the first things they're going to do is weigh you. They want to know how much you weigh, how tall you are, and your age. Then they go from there. If you're underweight, your premium goes up. Why? No reserve. If you're 10 pounds overweight, you get the best premium. Now, what if you're 15, 20, 30, 40 pounds overweight? What does your premium do? Goes higher. Why? Because if you're more than 15 pounds overweight, your risks of heart attack, stroke, diabetes all go way up. So, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because I'd like to encourage you when you think about the question, what weight would be for me a healthy weight? You think of your age, you think of activity, you think of your genetics, and you come up with a number. That number should be higher than you probably want it to be. For example, yesterday in class, I had a lady who weighs currently 240. I said, so I asked her, because she's overweight, I singled her out and said, okay, let's talk about you. What would your ideal weight be? She said, 135. I started pulling my hair out. No, not 135. If she were 135, she would be very, very sick. So what's a good number? So we talked about it, and my recommendation was she set a goal to maybe be 165. Now, that would take her 2 years, maybe 3, to make a transition in the body to that weight. And to get there, I don't want her to have a diet. What we do is have a lifestyle modification. And we're going to talk about lifestyle and the factors with routine activities of daily living that contribute to weight gain and being overweight. So she needed to lose, like for Deborah, the title of the class, lose 120 pounds. For her to do that, she needs to make major changes. And most of them are simple, and they do not include a diet. They include simple things like, I'll give you a few examples. At the top of the list, more sleep. That's number one. More sleep / rest. Let me tell you why. When the body is expecting to have not enough food, it will store energy. Thank you. It will store energy. Your brain has what I call the Joseph in Egypt capability. Joseph knew there was going to be a famine, so he stored wheat for how many years?
7.
7. They had a lot of extra. It was a good thing, because when the crisis came, there became a lot more need for extra for those who hadn't prepared. If you're low on energy, your body will interpret that as we need more storage. So your body will store more fat. Why fat? Well, let's talk about it. The main source of energy to the body, and you can think of the body as a very fine vehicle that has 3 energy sources. It'd be nice if your car did that, right? If you could have electric, gas, and diesel, whatever you want. The body has that already. You have sugar, that's carbohydrate, and that's what most people live on. They live on a lot of carbohydrates. The second is protein. Protein is more dense. So if you have a fuel tank holding carbohydrate, the fuel tank holding protein for storage for energy, and think of protein storage as muscle. The compartment needs to be smaller. Then you have another compartment that stores fat. If the body could run totally off fat, the storage container would be less than half as big as a carbohydrate storage tank. So you have 3 of them, all different size, but they all will take you, say, 500 miles. Here's the catch. In order for your body to burn fat, it has to have an abundance of water. So you have another container. The other container is water in the body. You have water in the blood, you have water in the lymphatic system both. You have 2 compartments that contain water. And keep in mind, blood feeds the tissue, lymph cleans the tissue. So when you don't get enough sleep, your body will automatically start to store fat, not muscle, not sugar, fat. But again, you can't get it if you don't also have water. So sleep is the top of the list. And along the line of the discussion we just had, where do you think water is on the list of priority?
Be right up there with sleep.
Water and sleep, number one. Lack of sleep, lack of water, both contribute to weight gain. We could then put lack of protein. Protein is essential for the body to build lean muscle mass. Welcome. Come right in. Get down here. You have what notes? You're good? So, those are the big three, okay? Another one is mental, emotional expectations. It's very common in our society to have the impression that bigger is better, more is better. When we think about the word choice, parents not knowingly encourage their children to be what? You're a big girl, you're a big boy. And they subconsciously correlate big is better, big is good. And so the body then follows the direction and becomes bigger. So you become overweight. Now, we said that 10 pounds overweight is better than underweight. Now let's talk about fat and obese. And I'll make a very bold statement to you. Anytime you are around a person who's obese, you can bet top dollar that they're starving. They're not getting adequate nourishment to the tissue. That's one of the reasons they're bigger, because the body is collecting garbage. It's collecting anything it can for maybe future use. But if they're low on water, they can't get it. Now, there are a couple of easy ways to tell if a person is getting adequate nourishment. One that I like to do, I like to test with a test strip nitric oxide. When we put this test strip on the mouth and check the saliva, we look for the colors. If it's a light color, that indicates, number one, they're not getting enough green food, or number two, they're not digesting the green food and assimilating it. Now, is it possible to have a mom and a dad and a couple of kids at the same table eating the same food, and one of them is not getting it and the other one's getting it fine? Yes. Why? Because of the misalignment in the spine. I have a family right now that's the case. And part of the problem was when they first came, they were eating one meal a day, a big meal. So the young children were malnourished because they put too much in at one time. So one of the recommendations that I make to you to have the least stress on the gut is to eat 3 or 4 times a day. And if you're overweight, this sounds backwards, but if you're overweight and you want to reduce your weight, eat 4 times by the clock, not when you're hungry. So if you suppose you ate breakfast at 7, lunch at 11, mid-afternoon at 3 or 4, and 6:30 or 7 at night, you've eaten 4 times. Eat small, easy to digest, high quality meals, and overweight people lose weight, they shed the weight. Now, what if an overweight person eats 1 meal a day with the intent to shed weight? Does that work? Usually no. Why? Because when you, and I know it's popular right now, the concept of intermittent fasting. So you go for a long term without food. When you skip a meal, the brain says, oh, like Joseph, it didn't rain. We better store. So the metabolic rate, the speed of your normal metabolism slows down. So you're more prone to gain weight. How can you reverse that? One of the best ways, when you rise in the morning, exercise some with activity, motion activity. One of the best that I'm aware of is the T-zone. That's the best, or swimming. Most people won't do that, but they can do T-zone. All they need to do it for 12 minutes, and then eat a small, high quality, very loaded with slow burning calories, like more fat. Not sugar, more fat. Some protein, a small amount of sugar, but a small amount. Why a small amount? Because you want to not overload the gut. Now, when you do that mentally, you might think, well, I'm going to be hungry before lunch. Well, good, because at 11 o'clock, went to eat again. How much? A small amount. Why? It's easy for your gut to process, even if the gut is compromised. And again, I get 4 or 5, 3 to 5, small amount. Nothing in between. And supper by 7, small amount. Why a small amount? Because you want it to be metabolized mostly before you go to bed. If you eat late, even if it's a small amount, you're not going to sleep as good. And what was the number one cause of overweight?
Lack of sleep.
Lack of sleep. Lack of rest. Now, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit with something we talked about last week. When you go to bed, is the body on rest? Is the body on pause until morning? No. When you go to bed at night, your body shuts down consciously, the subconscious, an automatic process. It goes on automatic pilot, and during the night, it does healing, repair, regeneration, rebuilding, regrowing. It's very, very busy at nighttime. So next time we're driving down the road and it says road construction ahead, left lane closed, you go, oh my gosh, The car stopped backing up. You ask this question, why don't they do this at night?
Mhm.
When there's no hardly any traffic. That's what the body does. During the night, it does the most repair and regeneration. But if you've eaten too much and the body is still working on the food you ate, it may not even be able to start repair until after midnight. It's still digesting. And the way you can tell is in the morning. How can you tell in the morning if you ate properly last night? I give the answer. I hear it all the time. And what I hear the answer to the question, do you have breakfast? And I hear the answers are, oh no, I don't have breakfast. Why? I'm not hungry. Guess why they're not hungry? They're still working on supper. They're behind. So now they're onto a new day with all freshly digested food. They're backed up. Of course they're not hungry. So if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you think about is peeing and then food. We want to get food in there. That's a good sign. Okay, I'm in that.
So if you stop eating early enough in the evening and you don't eat again until the morning or when you have breakfast, that's a really easy weight shedding hack. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Good.
And that is, in my opinion, the best way to do, quote, intermittent fasting. That's a long enough period of time, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. That's 12 hours without you putting food in. That gives you got plenty of time to get it cleared out. I'll tell you something sad. About 2 years ago, I had just take one for you too. I gave you 4, I'm sorry. I had a lady come to class. She sat right there. She weighed over 300 pounds, more than 350. She didn't want to change. But I talked to her and let me interact with her some and give her some recommendation. It took me about that long to decide this lady is dying from starvation. Her daughter and son were here. They said, your mom is dying from starvation. Well, why? She ate primarily microwave food. Now, if you want, think about, can you imagine a 350-pound lady dancing around the kitchen, cooking food and preparing things? No, she's sitting here watching TV, wanting food brought to her. I said, we need to do some detox and some high quality nutrition we can get into her to save her life. They didn't. She died in less than 6 months from starvation. She died in the hospital. They couldn't save her. Now, on the other extreme, years ago, I had the privilege of treating a Vietnamese refugee. When she walked into my office, she had to be helped. She hadn't had hardly any food. She came from a very bad situation. In fact, I learned that later that they would give them only a few grains of rice to eat and they had them work in the fields. And if they caught them eating bugs, they'd shoot them. It was a bad deal. So she was mostly skin and bones. Her organs were depleted, her brain was depleted. We gave her, again, high quality nourishment multiple times a day, and finally got her built back up so she could function more normal. So those are the two extremes. So let's go through the test here. Number one, weight reduction is as simple as reducing calories, caloric intake over time. Totally false. I recommend you never be a calorie counter. It's way more complicated than that. Number two, an extra 117 calories per day above expenditure will add about 1 pound per month. True. Now, if you want to write down the math, 1 pound costs you about 3,500 calories. We're not counting calories, but that's the way it works. Number three, homeostasis of the body's tendency toward a relatively stable equilibrium. Underline stable equilibrium that is maintained by physiological processes. That means if you're 80 pounds overweight, your body is going to do whatever it can to maintain 80 pounds overweight. If you finally, by choosing to eat and act properly, modify your activities of daily living, you get your body weight down to, so the three weights, the way you want to be, the way you should be because of your body's systems functioning properly, the way you are, then your body will maintain that ideal weight. Again, I get personal experience. When the doctor told me 160 is a good weight for you, and I said, no, I don't believe that, because I can tell that because the way I feel and the way I look. I feel better when I weigh between 180 and 190. So in my opinion, my three weights would be in that range. And that's, today I've been in that same range for several years, once I got into recovery. Number four, history has shown that after dieting, there's usually a body weight gain of about 5 pounds above pre-diet weight. True. That's why you should think of it as diet. Number five, word choice matters when changing weight, as most are subconsciously motivated to find and restore what is lost. So don't even think about losing weight. Number six, this is a complicated question. A few of the most common causes for uncontrolled weight gain. What's the difference between controlled weight gain and uncontrolled? Controlled is when you're trying to build muscle mass. We're not, for you people, for us, we don't want muscle mass. We want lean muscle. There's a big difference. Lean muscle. We want muscle that has stamina and tone. So the causes, A, lack of sleep, yes. Lack of mineral water, yes. Many people drink a lot of water, but they lack minerals. Your water value goes up if you add periodically, like daily, some real salt. It needs the minerals. Why? Because the minerals provide power for for the DNA, which are the adaptogens. So when the weather changes, your body needs to change with the weather. To get the DNA to change you, they have to have power from the real salt. Lack of minerals, that's true. Lack of physical activity, that's very common. And in our society, we drive too much, walk too little. Self-imposed emotion demands to be more. True. Now, F is combination. Excess sugar, carbohydrate. That's the number one bad thing on food. Number 2, protein or meats. Excess. It's important to have protein, but not excess, because excess protein will make you acid. And the way you can tell is to check your urine pH. That's one of the things that will cause you to be acid. 3, manufactured foods. If it comes in a box, it's probably manufactured, and it's not good for you. Fats. The problem with fats is too little. So it's F4 is false. Most people do not eat too much fat. They eat too little. F5, snacking or grazing. True.
Can we go back to the fats for just a second?
Yes.
So, would it be true to say that a lot of people eat more of the wrong kinds of fats and less of the good kinds of fats?
That's totally true.
Makes a big difference, right?
Yes.
Olive, avocado, almond oil, those are all good oils. Corn, safflower, vegetable.
If God made it, it's good. If a manufacturer ate it, it's not good. Like if you go to the grocery store and buy a gallon of hydrogenated vegetable oil, that's poison to you. Olive oil, right on the same shelf, olive oil, good for you. Coconut oil, good for you. Thank you. Okay, now number 7. I put number 7 in there just to give you an idea. I'll help you with the answers. Visceral body fat. What is that? Think of it like you think of bubble wrap. Some of you order things online, they get a little package and it'll have little bubbles wrapped around it. All of your organs have bubble wrap. To do what? Same thing, to protect them from injury. Even nerve roots, the nerve roots that go from your brain down to the spine and the spine out to the organ, are lined with, it's called the myelin sheath. It's a thin, very thin layer of fat protecting the nerve. Nerves are not bare. They're not like bare wires laying out in the open. Nerves have the myelin sheath and it's made of fat. To visceral fat, it's not, it correlates with number 3. So if we know your body has, let's say, 30 pounds of fat, you'll have 3 pounds of bubble wrap. B, total weight of bones. If we took everything off and ended up with bones, 3 to 5%. How much water? Healthy water for a female. Number 4, 45 to 60%. Healthy fat for female, 20 to 25%. Now, yesterday after class, I did a body composition test on a lady. I have a little body composition tester put on the arm, and we measured her fat. She had low fat, high water, which is perfect. She had a right amount of lean muscle mass, so she was good. It's very common to have more fat than water. Like the lady I told you about, if I went over 350, I didn't check her, but if I would have, it would have been like 60% body weight would be fat. And water would be way down, probably in the low 30s. Healthy water for a male is a little more 50 to 65. Number 1. Healthy fat for a male, 2, 15 to 20%. So if your husband says to you, Karen, you're fatter than I am, you tell him it's the way it's supposed to be. If he's fatter than you, that's a problem. Yeah, number 8, hydrolysis is essential to acquire energy from carbohydrate, protein, and fat. What is hydrolysis? That's a fancy name for water going through a metabolic process to get the energy out of the tissue. What if you're low on water? You can't get it. If you're really low on water and you go out and work in your garden and you need more energy, your body will break down your muscle to get energy because it can't get to the fat. If you want to get rid of some fat, and you want to do any exercise, drink some water and then exercise. Now, backtracking again on the whole body vibration. And I've told you stories about that before. I had a fellow whose wife told me he's fat. I want you to help him with his fat. Get rid of fat. I told him to make 2 changes. 1, drink water, about 6 ounces, and get on the T-zone for 3 minutes, 3 times a day. I saw a lady today who got a T-zone last week. She told me she lost 4 pounds in a week. 4 pounds in a week. I told her, when you ever get on it, drink some water, because you will then burn fat, and you burn the fat and the sugar that's in your blood. Now, number 9. Number 9 is there also for not to test you, but to teach you. About 60% of the adult body is water. That's a low percentage. The brain and heart, 2 of the most critical organs in the body, 73%. Now, if the brain is 2% low on water, it will reduce brain quality of function significantly. Some authors say as much as 50%. Now, why is it important? It's important to you because as people age and they drink less water, they start to have brain fog, dementia, etc., lack of coordination, lack of cognition, speech ability from lack of water. Lungs 83, skin 64, Now, when people complain about having dry skin, usually it's not lack of water, it's a lack of fat. Kidneys, 79, even bone. That little 3 to 5% of your total body weight, your bone, is made up of 31% water. Number 10, lean muscle makes you stronger and faster and is gained by doing natural full body movement. True. You could also add the word has better stamina, stronger, faster, and more stamina. Number 11, to decrease body fats and increase lean muscle mass. Now we're talking today about shedding the overabundance of weight. Eat 3 to 4 small meals, spaced 4 hours apart. Consume adequate amounts of protein, drink plenty of mineral water, and 3 to 5 times a week be involved in some kind of exercise. All that's true. That's what you do. And it will all come off naturally. Now, a quick review. I don't recommend dieting. Why? Because it doesn't work. The records show that you gain more than you lost a year or two later. But you modify your lifestyle by doing what? Going to bed early, having a nap. I saw a lady today who needs 2 naps a day. But when we looked at her whole picture, she's going downhill pretty fast. She needs to have a nap in the morning and a nap in the afternoon. Forever? No, not forever. Until we get her caught up. How long will it take her to get caught up? I don't know. It might take her 6 months, it might take her a year. It doesn't matter. She said, I don't want to die. Well, the good news is we're all going to die. But we don't want to die slow. And she's already started to die. She's going down. So we stop her from going down, make some minor changes, and get her back up onto a higher plateau. And then you have to work to stay on the higher plateau. They can get better and better every day, a little teeny bit. So, like I said before in class, the best year of your life could be and should be your last day. You say, I'm healthy, but I'm done. Everything's finished. If I said that to my wife, she'd say, no, you got some cleaning to do in the garage. Don't do it yet. Any comments or questions on what we've talked about today?
I have a question back to the real salt in
Yes.
the water.
Yes.
How much do you recommend in, like, once a day, or?
I recommend, when we talk about how to use real salt, the most simple answer is liberally. Liberally. Why? Number one, you won't do too much. What should be your guide? Your guide should be your taste. If you have high blood pressure or low blood pressure, if your muscles are weak, if you're sleepy, tired, you add some to your food, you add some to your water. If you taste whatever it is, food or water, and it tastes too salty to you, you put too much. You should be able to have enough that in salt, mineral salt enhances flavor. But if it tastes salty, you have too much for you. Now, you may start out with measuring. Every day you measure, I thinking exactly, 3/3 of a teaspoon and it's perfect. Then you go work in the garden when you need more. Okay? You have a less activity, you may need less. Let taste be your guide.
Okay.
That was a good question. Any other questions, comments? Denise? With old wise one?
So all of the things he's talked about today are good, and sometimes you need to get things checked, right? So check your percentages, and check how your heart is doing, and check how your blood looks. And another thing, I think especially for women as we get older, is to check your hormone levels. Because like with Deborah, that was one of the things that she did that helped her shed weight, was to balance her hormones. They were pretty off, and you can just get those tests from your doctors. But if you
from an
endocrinologist, yes.
Yeah.
So it's important to get those balanced, because you can do all the good things. You can eat really well, you can be drinking all kinds of good stuff and sleeping well. If your hormones are off, you
need help.
You need help. So that's one more thing to check.
Thank you for doing that, saying that. And if your hormones are off, you're not only going to be slightly overweight. The next is fat. If you're obese, if you reach that level, it's at least 25 or 30 pounds more than you should. Ideal. That would be a good time to get the hormones checked.
Mm-hmm.
If you're pretty close, you probably don't need it.
And there are always ways to balance those naturally. If you don't want to take a pill, there are ways to correct that, and Dr. Smith has some great things to help with that.
Another good thing you can do, and we talked about this in other classes, is to look at your tongue. If the tongue is in trouble, like this, and what we talk about in the tongue class, if it has a lot of redness, a lot of cracks and grooves and discoloration, you can guarantee that you have a weak gut significantly, and it needs to be receive some therapeutic stimulation, whether it's with a sacral slide or with nutritional supplements. I'm a big believer of the VFF because people have the nitric oxide deficiency. We can short term bring that up by taking the VFF, because that adds more blood flow to more tissue. Okay, thank you very much for your comments and questions.
Thank you.